and welcome to Geopolitical Trends. So good to be with you as always. Very exciting. I kind of didn't expect to do the live stream, but when this topic came under my radar, I had to check on it for the last few hours, believe it or not. And I decided, you know what? I was going to wait till the weekend, but the weekend I have a different topic for live stream for you guys. So I decided to come on the air. And here I am. So, well, first of all, like I always thank the channel members, supporters, subscribers, all of you. So thank you so much for your kind support. And if this is your first time here, please make sure to subscribe because that's the only way I can grow. And I truly appreciate you and all of you for that. So, because this one came so rushed, I didn't make the preparation like I always do when we do, for example, the tour around the world and so forth. So I'm going to skip all that and I'm going to get into the topic because there's a lot to cover with this. And this one, assuming he moves forward, no, I'm going to tell you why. Let's not jump to conclusions. BRICS might not allow France to join in, and I'll tell you why and share all that with you. But before that, guys, if you will be kind and just type in on a chat where you are joining me from, I would really appreciate it. And also give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, if there are no issues with the sound. I want to make sure. I learned my lesson from last time when I was talking, but the sound was not working. So I want to make sure it is working this time around. So, and I really appreciate it. Uh, oh, Momo, thank you for being here from South Africa. Momo from, I'm sorry, from West Africa, Gambia. I'm sorry, my apologies. So, West Africa, good sound. Thank you, Lucio. I appreciate it because now I can at least talk comfortably. Paul Saar from New Jersey, good to have you. Roland from Netherlands, good to have you. James Mans from Houston, that's my neighbor. Irvin Garrett from Kentucky, my neighbor also. Irvin Garrett from Kentucky, and Moore Gordon from West London. CJ from Australia, good to have you. Wow, great. No way from Australia, and you can hear me fine. Thank you so much. Markup, South Africa. Steve, UK. Good to have you guys as always. I truly appreciate you so being here. So, all right, let's delve into this and talk about it because there's a lot to cover. Leonard from London, so good to have you here. Adil bin Israel from Seattle, good to have you. What part of at Seattle you're from? If I may, I used to spend a lot of time in Spokane, so I used to do some training back then in a day. So good to have you here, so guys. Anyway, let's Hawaii, whole man from Hawaii, good to have you. All right, let's talk about this one, guys. And first of all, let me ask you the question because, like I always say, I like you to be part of the conversation, not just me talking. I can talk, but for us as a community, we got to learn from each other, and that's to me what learning is all about. We might disagree, which is okay. Disagreement, as long as it's respectful, it's a good sign. It's a sign of a good debate. Is a sign of this is we are willing to learn and so forth. So what do you think? Was this just a hypes? Okay, that's one question. And second question is, or was France testing the waters? Because you think about it, I mean, just for a moment, step back, assume you are not a geopolitical analyst, you are not an international relations, you whatever. You are just a common person, which we all are, by the way. It's just the idea of, do you think, given where the world is today, France will go and join an organization where Russia is, given the statement that is saying regarding the Ukraine conflict? I mean, that's just a common sense. Okay, that's one of those two questions, and this is why I'm leaning more towards. I'm already seeing that the conversation is like, oh my gosh, France going to be in BRICS. Hold on a second. Let's not jump to conclusions, guys, because in politics, especially when it comes down to global affairs, sometimes, and I'll tell you this from experience, as one who worked in Washington, and as a geopolitical analyst, I can tell you from experience, sometimes countries will throw a statement out there to test the water for the reaction, what it will be. Of course, what makes this very interesting, what makes it very interesting, it's because France is like the at the heart of Europe. When you think about the European Union, who do you think of? France and Germany. That's about it. When you think about NATO, who do you think? The US mainly. Then you think Germany, UK, and France. That's about it. So when you think about it logically, and you say to yourself, wow, is France breaking away from the US? No. Or, like I said earlier, is France testing the waters? It's because the conditions in France, and I have family who lives in France, so I talk. So, and I kind of aware of where the economic conditions. As a matter of fact, guys, be on the lookout for a video I'm going to be releasing for you about Germany, which you won't hear much about. And this might shock you or surprise you. The German economy, certain industries inside Germany might end up collapsing. And the reason being, and I'm going to give you a heads up on that. The reason being because the recent data just released showed a contraction of the economy by 0.3%. And the quarter before that was 0.5%. Anytime you have 2 consecutive quarters of contraction, that's a bad sign, economically speaking. So in the case of France, because the economic conditions are not good, France people, as a matter of fact, mostly European, but we're not talking about the whole Europe, we're talking about France. Could it be that Macron wants to do something that really to distract the masses out, because he could, as one of the viewers here from the channel put in, he's afraid of experiencing the same outcome of Louis XVI, or even Louis XIV for that matter, like guillotine, that is. Because France is known, if there are anything about demonstrations, France is known for it. You look no further in history, French Revolution, and why did French Revolution happen? Yes, it was the economics to a degree, but also it was the division that existed within social class. When you have the gap between the rich and the poor, it got so widened. And why it got widened? Because the rich ends up controlling the resources. It's the same thing we are watching today, by the way, guys, at least for us here in the United States. This is why I always say, I don't know what it will take for some of us Americans, not all, of course, I shall not generalize. Some of us will wake up to the reality that the system is set up certain ways and the gap is getting wider. I mean, you go now to Target, you go to Walmart at night, and you see people sleeping on the street near Walmart and Targets. It's a reality. And yet, we are going to be sending $2 billion to Ukraine again. That's just mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. But anyway, that's another topic for another day. Let's talk about France here. So if it is the case, and by the way, we're not saying France is joining BRICS, because BRICS will have to decide on that. So what do you think the conversation inside BRICS is going to be? Will they members, the BRICS members, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, trust France being a member? What do you guys think? Would you? Let me put it for you guys, because I love to have your inputs here. If you were ahead of one of those countries and you are a member right now, would you agree to France becoming a member? Just put the answer on the chat box if you like it. I would like to take a look at that answer. And I know it takes a delay here, so. No, well, of course. And why is that? It's because the issue of trust. And it's logical argument. You will think, how can you be a member of BRICS? You are at the same time member of NATO. You are at the same time a member of the EU. Yeah, you're free to do whatever you want, but it just doesn't bode well. And this is where I find, for example, the case of India. I am leaning more and more of thinking about what India needs to do, because India is in BRICS and India plays a role. We're not denying this. Yes, it might not be at the same level as China because China's market is much bigger. But don't dismiss India's market share, the size of the market. With now the populous nation on earth, 1.4 billion, it's a market. If you are a CEO of a company, you will be thinking about, I need to have access to that market. But India has a lot of stuff to work on, infrastructure, poverty, and so forth. That's not the point what we're talking about. What we're talking about is for India to figure out a way that, well, you are a member of BRICS, and by the way, BRICS is going to grow one way or another. And at the same time, you are a member of Quad that tries to undermine BRICS. That will be the same argument for France. And this is why the reason why I wanted to come on the air right away, because you're going to be seeing videos, and I'm going to make a recorded video for you guys about this. But I need you to understand, let's not jump to conclusions. There are many going to be talking about this. I respect their opinions, whatever, but they are not a qualified analyst to really put it in perspective. And I don't shy away from saying this. I got nothing against people. You all know me by now, but I call spade a spade, because you're going to be hearing, oh my gosh, France is joining BRICS. And let's not jump to conclusions. And again, and I'm going to repeat this, France could be just testing the waters to see what the reaction is going to be. Because remember, when you think about the Atlantic relations, cross Atlantic, US and Europe, who do you think the most about? France and Germany. That's what the US deals with, especially with the EU. This is why you are looking at Europe right now sinking economically, because it couldn't free itself from the strangles of the United States. That's one argument. The second argument to this, with the assumption that, let's say, BRICS members agree to France, okay? Will that be the beginning of the end of the Atlantic relations? Will that be the beginning of the end of US dominance of Europe? And if it is the case, the next logical question that we're going to need to ask is, if Europe is going to be breaking away from the US economically, should it be establishing its own security entity, independent from NATO? I don't see them doing this. I don't see them having the ability to do this. And the reason, again, as an analyst, I have to think in terms of first of all, the resources. Second, whether there is a political will to do this. And third is the financial ties to the United States. This is why I'm saying, in the upcoming meeting of BRICS, be on the lookout for some key decisions that includes two things, in my opinion. One is how big BRICS wants to become. There is a list of countries right now. And two is the financial aspect. What type of currency the BRICS is going to embark on, and what it's going to be backing that currency with. I know I've been saying that gold will be one, okay? But don't discount, for example, oil. If you have Iran and Russia and Venezuela and Brazil and there's the United Arab Emirates, or Qatar for that matter, joining BRICS, those countries comes with massive oil reserves. Want to make more sense? That's one reason. So if France to join, you're going to have to be looking at the financial aspect. Why is this? It's because the euro is entangled or tied to the US dollar. That's one of the reasons. And the idea becomes, is France, and again, testing the water, or is it truly wanted to break away from the US? Because that's just logical question to ask. It doesn't take genius to think about it. So, and how this came about. And again, as I said earlier, guys, I'm gonna do a video for you recorded later on, and I'll detail a few other things. But for now, I just want you to get the base. No, as we call in French, la base. To take the base of this understanding, so you put it in perspective before you start seeing. As a matter of fact, here in the US, the media is not even talking much about it. It's being kept down. It's almost similar to one aspect that I just find out, that the military intelligence of Germany just disclosed to the Central Intelligence Agency that Ukraine may be planning to bomb the nuclear power plants in Ukraine without the knowledge of the president, comedian Zelensky. Of course, we're not talking about it here in the US. And like I always say, I have my sources. I know where to get the information to make sure that is, first of all, accurate and reliable. So, because that's what you will expect from me. So this is where I see the idea of, oh my gosh, France is going to bring. No. Let's not jump. It's because that mistrust is going to be always attached to a country like that, and I think, once again, thinking outside the box, beside France testing the water, as I said, and even if he moves forward with this, could it be that France wants to get back at the United States and the West, for that matter, for stabbing France in the back regarding the Australia submarine deal? You'll remember, we, the US and UK, we stabbed France in the back by taking away that the deal they had with Australians about the diesel submarines and so forth. And now Australian Prime Minister Albo is so weak politically, went ahead and signed on a $300 billion deal, while at the same time the housing crisis in Australia is going up and the poverty is increasing and economic downturn is going down. So this is what I'm thinking, that France is not going to forget this, by the way, guys. They're not going to forget that, because the logical question to ask is, how can an ally do something like this to another ally? So that's what I see it moving forward. So what happened, basically? The South African ambassador at large, his name is Anil Suklal. I'm sorry. He confirmed a few days ago that European countries, he put it in general terms, European countries have expressed interest in joining BRICS. So at the same time, you think about, you also the video that I released about Italy, that it's unlikely to renew its contracts regarding the BRI. By the way, guys, a company in Norway also kind of withdrew from a $13 billion contract regarding shipyard with China. And makes you just wonder, are those countries being pressed or forced to make a decision like that at the expense of their economic prosperity? That is what's mind-boggling. Again, I'm not in their country, so I can't speak for them. All I can see is that there is no courage on these leaders, because courage matters when you are tested, and here they are tested in reality and they couldn't take stand. That's, to me, you got no courage. You're so damn weak. That's how I look at it. So what he said, that this ambassador at large, his name is Anil Suklal, when he said that European countries expressed interest in this, what was interesting about this? It comes during a very crucial time in Europe, economically speaking. Politically, of course, is always divided. Despite what you hear, there is a division that exists inside Europe. I just came back from Europe. I was in Eastern Europe. I went to Ukraine. I crossed through Germany. I talked through people in France. I was moving through. They just are, they couldn't fathom. They couldn't understand. They are at a loss for how a leader of their country, whatever country you're talking about, from Poland to Germany to France, Italy, they couldn't understand why the leaders will sacrifice the economic prosperity of their citizens to withhold some notion of this defending freedom and democracy and nonsense stuff. It's beyond the. But here is the key thing about our topic here for France and BRICS and so forth. Why is this important? As I said earlier, I wanted to give you the base of understanding so you put it in perspective. Because it comes at a time when France now is looking to end, believe it or not, to end the reliance on the US dollar. Why is this, you may think? For global trade, that is. Why is this? It's because they are seeing the danger that the tie into the euro to the US dollar, they're seeing the danger. They are losing major economic ventures outside. For example, I'll give you a quick example. When I finished writing the book, that Iran book right there, Volatile State, Iran in the Nuclear Age. When I finished to write that book, I was invited to in New York for an interview, and I did. And the conversation at that time, I was asked the question, how come the business community will benefit from now there is a deal between the P5, the permanent members of the UN Security Council, France, UK, United States, Russia, and China. And I said, well, now you got major European countries, especially industries, like you think, for example, Opel, which is a car manufacturer in France. You get Total, which is an energy company in France. They're looking for lucrative deals in Iran to explore the oil fields. That's what it was back then. It was till we withdrew from the GCPOA unilaterally, breaking all the norms, all the international law agreements, which makes you wonder, what makes us think that other countries are going to trust us anymore? It's because, we broke the law, basically, international law. That's what we did. You can withdraw from an international agreement unilaterally, and we did. So for France, when we reimpose sanctions on Iran, they looking that they lost economic opportunities. And by the way, those economic opportunities were in the billions and billions of dollars. It's the same argument for Germany. And this is why, if France is calling for an end of the reliance on US dollar for global trade, it's for that reason, because they wanted to have access not just to Iran's energy, but you're looking at other countries as well. That is what's surprising about this. So then the other aspects of all this will be the idea of, okay, if we are talking economics, will the geopolitical aspect to be part of that equation? And I think so. Because now the Ukraine conflict exposed not only how weak Europe is, but how it is tied to the hip to the United States, and it's the United States that dictates the terms. Europe can't say squat about anything. They can't. I almost feel like, and I always say this, and I'll repeat it here for you guys. Europe to me is like the child that never grows up and is always in a constant need of direction and discipline. Yeah, here I am. I said it. So it's not a laughing matter, but I've been hearing for years, oh, Europe is going to stand on its feet. And they didn't. They couldn't. They're so damn weak. It's because the leadership didn't have the courage to say to the US, hold on a second, while we maintain our relationship, bilateral trade and so forth, we have to look for our own interest as well. They just couldn't say that to the US. Now, could it be that Emmanuel Macron is doing this for this reason? It's because he wants to resist the pressure for becoming America's followers, because that's what Europe is looked like. So that's what I believe is the idea of why all of a sudden I won't take this as a distraction for France to do this. Uh, there will be some really good intentions in wanting to do this, but they also know the road or it's a long road before this will happen, because there is a lot of steps will have to be taken in the process. So, but what's interesting about this dynamics is that if you go back 3 months ago, as a matter of fact, in March, one in March and one in April, and I'm going to provide you the detail on each one. In March, what happened in March? And I think I did a video and I mentioned it. I might not talk in detail about it, but I did. What happened is that France settled, get this, guys, settled a transaction of liquefied natural gas trade with China by paying for it not in euros, not in the dollar, but rather in the Chinese yuan. So, makes you wonder now, could it be that the France is seeing what's coming down the pipe, that the currency, the global reserve currency, the dollar, it's not going to be where it has been for the last 40, 50 years? And France wants to embark on that train before it's too late? That's one reason. But how can they do that when they still tie through the euros? That was the mistake Europeans did. I remember in a day when I used to, stop by in Paris and visit the family, and I will use the French franc. Then I'll swing to Germany, go visit my family there, and I will use the Dutch mark. And it was fine. That's the mistake. And that mistake, it was on their parts, of course, of the European, but we, the one who pushed for that, who pushed for the Eurozone, we convinced them. Not thinking down the road that once which like what we are witnessing now, this is why I believe the mistake policymakers made on both sides of the Atlantic when they imposed sanctions on Russia, they didn't factor in that this decision will precipitate the de-dollarization from around the world. This is why, if you look at, I don't know how many of you guys follow me on Twitter. I am on at @dwalalu, if you feel like following me there. I just tweeted this morning a statement by the Kenyan president. And I listened to the speech, by the way. And the Kenyan president is calling now for Africa to dump the US dollar altogether. I did post it for you guys, just for the community here. So that's a big deal. That is a big deal. And there is a reason for that. And you know the reason why? Is that when interest rate goes up in the US, the debt that is in Africa and US dollar go higher. This is why, for example, Argentina couldn't free itself from the IMF loans. It's because the interest keeps going up anytime interest rate goes up. So this is what France was thinking about, to gear away. As a matter of fact, they did the payments in the yuan. And I was aware of this one here because the 65,000 tons of liquefied natural gas was from the United Arab Emirates, but it was paid in the Chinese yuan, not the US dollar. Then this one was in March. Let me first of all take a look, see, because I'm on a different screen here. And I'll take a look later on as to where some of you are joining me from, beside what I already read. All right, let's continue here. We keep going. Now, this one has to do with what I just said to you has to do with March. Now, what happened in April? You all remember the trip by both French President Emmanuel Macron, but also the European Commissioner van der Leyen, the liar van der Leyen. That's what I call her. She's a liar. So, don't shy away. I respect her as a human being. We all are. You respect a human being. but her character is not where it needs to be. That's why you call her whatever she is, because her character exemplifies what I'm saying. So what happened in April? They both went, but separately. Remember, Macron got the red carpet treatment, but she didn't. As a matter of fact, she went through the normal airport like everybody else. Macron didn't, because Macron wanted to cut a deal with China. And again, Macron is seeing what's coming. But on the other hand, is he playing both sides? Can he be trusted? That's why, if you remember, guys, I put the thumbnail on it and I put why. What I meant by that big question, why are you all of a sudden going to China? You've been advocating for whatever, and now you're going to China. Chinese are not stupid. They're smart enough. They can read between the lines. So the reason I'm bringing all this up is because in April, with both trips, they were almost like playing a good and bad cop. That strategy, a good cop, bad cop. That's what I felt they were playing. So here is Macron, the good cop. Here is Van der Leyen, the bad cop. And the reason for it is because they wanted to show, and the trip, by the way, was on April 5th through April 8th, because I remember that one vividly. I did the video on it, so I kind of remember. I'm not old yet to be forgetting things. I'm not Joe Biden. Was supposed to present, the whole reason for the trip was to present a united front. When I always say, there is no unity. It's a facade. It's a lie. What's going on behind closed doors as to the policies that Europe is embarking on, they are not bearing fruit per se. Look no further now in UK. Look no further in Germany. France itself. Italy will soon is going to suffer, mark my word on it, because its ports will lose business from the Chinese shipping containers. They were about 13%. And I disclosed this for you in the video, guys. For those who have not watched the video yet, just go check it out. And the reason they want together to present a united front as far as putting pressure on China regarding the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Yeah, that's stupid if they think that Chinese could not see through all that. And because why? Because Van der Leyen she believed that she could have been threatening China. She could threaten China with whatever. And it's ridiculous. To me, this is the stupidity at the highest order, let alone it's coming from a policymaker, from a representative of a bloc, European Union, that is, and yet lacking common sense. Because to me, this is, where's the common sense here? And the whole reason why is because they warned China not to send weapons to Russia. Well, who the heck are you to dictate to countries what to do? And yet we are sending weapons? That's almost like what happened with South Korea. South Korea, when Russia and China did the joint air patrol, which I did the video on it live, you'll remember. What made South Korea think that it's okay for them to conduct joint military exercises with the US, but it's not okay for China and Russia to do so? You guys have to understand how the system is set up, mainly in the West, of course, for all this to make sense to you, because looking from outside in, it won't make sense at all. And it doesn't make sense at all. But when you think about how the system is set up, you will start to see, oh, I see now why they are embarking on this policy. Even though you and I know it is the wrong policy. So that's what I see, the challenge that lies ahead in understanding how they're gonna move forward. You know, joining BRICS, yeah, it's sounds good. It's like when somebody says something, words are cheap. It's in deeds that you find out about people. I always believe, since I was a kid, I always believe what people say versus what they do are two different things. As they always say, you can tell a man, you can tell a man's character by what he does, not what he says. So that's how I see it. So for BRICS, I'm keeping an eye open, and of course, I will provide you insights when that meeting comes up. As a matter of fact, tomorrow I will be doing on the big channel, be doing a live stream on BRICS, because it's a very important for you to understand the dynamics coming up, especially with this ICC rather, the International Criminal Court, and I'll detail a few things about it. So just to sum up this wrap up, and I'll answer a question or two for you. The idea of, and again, as I said earlier, I'm going to make a video for you guys with this, because usually for that one will be more structured than this one here live. Let's not jump to conclusions quick. Yeah, it sounds great. It's because that will represent breaking away from Western alliance. But on the other hand, you are left with the question, can we trust this entity now being part of BRICS? How it's going to be managed? Let alone Russia is a member there. So this is why it's kind of, and again, personally, this is me. I tend not to get emotional and jump quickly on this. I know in YouTube it sounds good, but again, the individuals providing this information need to truly have a grasp of what are they talking about. It's one thing to have a high number of views about a video, whatever. It's another to have a substance on that particular video. So, and that's the way I look at it. So anyway, guys, let me go check to see if you have any questions and read up on some of you who are joining me from. I know I didn't read everybody, so I'm going to start from the bottom up, going down all the way here. Then I'll start. Oh, Stephan, good to see you. Stephan is a member of the channel. Thank you for being here. Yeah, once again, just to see those who are joining me from, I'm going to quickly go up through here just to see where I did see somebody from Morocco, believe it or not. And I was in Morocco, by the way. I just came back from Morocco. Morocco has some serious problem. Stephan from Canada, of course. Yeah. I will be in your country next month. So unfortunately, I can't disclose the location. So let me see. And as I said, I didn't forget, I will make a video for you guys, an update about the trip that I took. One leg of the trip was with the crew, with the team, and the other part was by myself in a different continent altogether. So, and I will provide you a brief update about it, and just share with you some conversation that I had with individuals, and show you some footage and images and so forth, pictures, that is. Anyway, whoever was from Morocco, Morocco has a serious problem regarding its finances, and I don't know what are they telling His Majesty there, but there is a serious financial problems. Is another country having the same problem is Canada, believe it or not. Canada and Morocco we're having the same, almost same structural problem financially. And this one has to do with the retirement funds. In Canada, within 15 years, they're going to run out of that money. In Morocco, by 2027, they need to add another $1 billion to the account. Otherwise, it's going to be even more problematic in 2035. So, and the economic conditions in Morocco are different than the economic conditions in Canada. So, Morocco has potentials, but the system is so fragmented economically speaking because the gap is widening. And I was there and I saw and I walked around and I talked to people. So I'm not talking on the top of my head here. The conversation that I had with individuals, those are they understand the system very very well, but I don't know how much they are reporting the truth to His Majesty for him to know exactly what's going on. So, and again, I was just visiting, so but it became clear to me that if they don't address this problem, it will have a serious consequences. So, all right, let me. Oh, somebody said, who said that one here? Thank you, Dr. Alu, for breaking news. You are most welcome. You are most welcome. So I figured you guys need to know because soon you're gonna see a lot in Canada and I'm sorry, on YouTube, and you need to have a background. Pierre Saucette from Canada. I'm assuming from Quebec. That's where you are from because the word here Quebec just missing Q. So okay, let me see if there are questions here. Oh, I see a question from uh sorry guys, I have to scroll down just to see where it says question because I can differentiate a statement from a question because they all that's why I always ask, please, if you will be kind and put Q as question so I know it is a question. All right, let me. And by the way, guys, I am gonna do a live stream for you on weekend. Make sure to attend this one. It's so interesting. I don't want to spell her out. I don't want to sort of. I want to keep it a surprise for you, but it's a topic that will really surprise you. Oh, here's the question from Steve. Question: If France does join BRICS, will other European countries follow? It's a good question, Steve. It's hard to tell at this point. It's because if they do, that means the European Union economy is not performing as it claims to be. That means also they are seeing the trends of where BRICS is headed economically. But mark my word on this, if BRICS does not, and get this, guys, if BRICS does not resolve its internal dynamics, what am I referring to here? China and India. They're going to need to fix that border issue. Otherwise, the credibility of BRICS moving as one entity, it will be shattered. Mark my word on it, despite what you hear. Till they fix that problem, nothing else is going to move forward. The potentials are there because look, remember when I talked last time about BRICS, its contribution to GDP moved from 2% to 10% in a matter of what, about a decade and a half. That's significant. We're talking about global GDP, not an individual, not a bilateral, not just a block. We're talking about global. So yeah, you could see European some, but which one's going to join BRICS? Because one thing, if I were to advise BRICS, one thing they have to be careful with, it's not to make the same mistake the European Union did. And what did the European Union do? It ended up including countries that their economy is so weak, their financial structure is so weak, like, for example, Greece. I have nothing against Greece. I've been in Greece, I've been in Athens, wonderful place, wonderful people, but economically, it's as a matter of fact, what happened with Cyprus, you all know what happened with the banking system in Cyprus, that the bank took money away from the depositors. Here is my warning for you. You know what's my warning for you? That was a test run, and they got away with it. This is why, moving forward, there is something called, and I'm not going to get into this because it's too complicated and it needs more time to elaborate on this. There are two things when it comes down to financial aspects you need to be aware of. There is something called bailout, okay? And there is something called bail-in. What happened in Cyprus was a bail-in when the banks took the money away from the depositor. If, for example, you had $100,000 in your account, the bank took it. There's nothing you can do about it. Why? Because the economy was sinking. So the government allowed the banks to justify those actions. The question for us, if you happen to be an American watching this, could this happen here in the US? I'm seeing signs that is not going to bode well for an average Joe, average Jane here in the US. This is why I'm saying, when will Americans wake up to see the reality for what it is? Our system is based on that, and yet we are sending, the Biden administration sending $2 billion to Ukraine. How insane that is. Haven't we sent enough? But this is not about just money. It's the system, how it's set up. I just did a video today on a big channel. Be on the lookout for it. I detailed the context, the historical and economic context of the Ukraine-Russia conflict. And something the media is not even addressing at all, for you to understand. So that is where I see the big concern. So will European countries join? Maybe not. About BRICS will have to really manage its growth, because now they have a historical opportunity. It's now or never, because we are at a turning point in the global geopolitical trajectory. The world is moving from a unipolar to a multipolar. There won't be another multipolar later on. This is it. No. And this is why BRICS will have to be very careful how they manage their growth. You can't just allow whatever country, because bringing a dead weight, that's like in a military. If you have a military unit, okay, and you go in on an op or whatever, and you got a dead weight in the team, what's going to happen? It's going to be dragging the team down, slowing the team down. You don't want that. Sorry, there is no emotions into something like that. It's no different. I know I'm giving an example here. It's no different. BRICS will have to ensure that the countries coming in have something to contribute. There won't be a dead weight, because that's exactly where Europe is right now. It's exactly where NATO is right now. Like I always say, most Americans have no clue. That is the us, taxpayers' money, that's supporting NATO. And yet we want to grow this NATO beyond. For what? Let the Europeans build their own security. And we are creating an enemy, whether perceived or real, to justify. That's my point. So let me look at one more question. And I hope I answered your question, Steve. So let me see. One more question, guys. And I'm going to sign off, because I need to go prepare. Oh, Osiris, I want to say thank you, man. I really appreciate it. Guys, I want to let you, because it's the right thing to do. Not only giving a shout out to a super sticker from Osiris, whatever. It's what's the word I'm looking for? Oh man, I draw blank on the wording for it. This is Osiris' behavior has always been since he joined the channel. It's always been consistent. And I truly can't thank you enough for this support. I mean it. And I'm saying it out loud for the rest of the world to know. I can't thank you enough for your support, Osiris. It means a lot. And I truly appreciate it. All right, let me see if there is a question here. I know we can stay on this live stream forever. All right, let me see this one here from Fayan Frank Lowen. You said, will the political and ideological mismatch matter? Especially Western European countries seems more pro World Economic Forum. Many thanks for your channel. You are most welcome. I don't know if you had a chance to listen to the video I did about World Economic Forum. which is another, how I'm going to put it. This is why you guys need to understand how the system is set up. Because if you don't understand how the system is set up, things will be sort of vague. But once you understand it, why the system set up the way it's set up, and who is controlling it and managing it. So when you think about the $2 billion, I'm giving you just a quick example. The $2 billion that the Biden administration is going to send to Ukraine in military aid, this is not Biden doing this, it's the system. But the system, who controls it? It's because you got a system of individuals, not just entities. That is, you're looking at a sizable one of about, let's say, 600, 700 people. Those are well-to-do financially, trying to control 7 or 8 billion people. Because that's exactly what is happening. And people are, sadly, like I always say, they are staring at the idiot box, watching nonsense. Yeah. Or you look at it even in YouTube. I'm very grateful for YouTube. It's a platform that we can exchange ideas, but you all know how YouTube is. There are certain silly stuff, and yet there are millions of views because the brain is very limited in its capacity. That's why I admire you guys. It's because you are exemplifying that kind of intellectuality. You're exemplifying that you can think through. You are exemplifying the critical thinking, because you won't let incendiaries, trivial stuff distract you from the big picture. There are ones, sometimes somebody commented, this channel needs to have 1 million views, whatever. No, I don't worry about that. I don't worry about it. It'll get there whenever it gets there. So that is the whole idea. So the ideological differences, yes, they will matter. And this is why BRICS will have to think twice before inviting a country or accepting, not inviting, because BRICS did not invite France, but France rather expressed. And this is what led me, again, as a geopolitical analyst, it led me right away, as soon as I read up on it and made some phone calls and checked, right away, it leads me to ask the question, are they, France that is, are they testing the waters? Because they know ideologically is the opposite end. That just doesn't make any sense. But it doesn't hurt to try. That's what I feel France is doing. So I hope I answered this one here for you. So, all right, one. Oh, look who is here. Oh my gosh, where have you been? Harry, where have you been? I haven't seen you in the last 2 live streams. And the reason I asked about all of you guys, that I kind of recognize some names right away, and I just hope you're safe. That's all it is, That's all it is. So thank you so much for your super sticker. Harry also been a member of the channel from way back, and I truly, truly appreciate your kind support. Speaking of Harry, I don't know if you want me to disclose where you're from. If you want to give me a green light, because I don't like to assume till people give me the reason, or they give me the green light to disclose that. So if you can put it in the chat box, because there is something about that country I wanted to disclose, but till I know that it's okay for me to disclose where you're from. I know this one takes a while to Amsterdam. Here is indeed. Well, Henry is from Amsterdam. I have family in Holland. I'm not going to disclose locations here. But what happened with Amsterdam today? Not Amsterdam, Netherlands. You got 2 countries. We might end up talking about another topic here, because it's very crucial, but for you to understand. And again, why? To differentiate between what the media is saying and what the reality is. What am I talking about? Today, Netherlands and Canada filed the papers against Syria in the ICC, in the International Criminal Court. Basically, they are filing a lawsuit against Syria for violating human rights. Well, hold on a second. What did Netherlands do to the farmers in Holland? And what did Canada did to the protesters in Ottawa. They violated their rights. So how come you, Canada and Holland, in this case, you're saying, no, what you did was right, and filing sort of a lawsuit against Syria in ICC, against the human rights abuses and so forth. I'm not denying that the government, the Syrian government, is brutal. I don't shy away from it. I'm very familiar with how that system is. I used to spend a lot of time in the Middle East, so I have an in-depth understanding about those countries. But at the same time, how can you claim that you are standing for world order and so forth, and you are doing the same? What makes the Dutch government to go ahead and shut down farmers? They just making a living. What makes the right for the prime minister dictator Trudeau to go ahead and file and sort of violate the rights of demonstrators in Ottawa? That's to me double standards. That's the reason why I wanted to ask the Hades permission first before I disclosed where he's at. So once again, thank you so much, Harry, for your super sticker. I truly appreciate it. Okay, guys, let me see one more question. I know I always say it's the last question. But again, I enjoy interacting with you guys because it's a learning process. I learn from you as well. It goes both ways. That's how I always looked at education in general term. With my students, anytime before I start the semester, I always say, guys, I am here to learn from you as well. So express yourself, respectfully, of course, but respect your classmates' opinions. They might disagree with you, but that does not mean they are wrong. You respect their opinions. And this is what I like about you guys, all of you here. So, all right. One last question, and I'm going to move on. It's again, because I have a few things to do because I shut down the computers around 1900 hours, and that's it. No more for me. Okay. All right. No questions here. I'm going to move on here. So anyway, guys, just a reminder to recap everything quickly here. Yes, it's a very exciting that a Western nation, it wants to join BRICS and all that. But let's hold on a little bit. Let's take a step back and not rush to conclusions quickly here. So you're going to be seeing some videos on YouTube, I guess. A lot of people are going to be talking. But again, I'm going to say straightforward. The content will have to make more sense, because first of all, are they qualified to talk about geopolitics to begin with? And second thing is you're going to have to provide pragmatic arguments for why this will work or why it will not work. And the third element you need to keep in mind is France just testing the waters? Remember, guys, be on the lookout for the next video that's coming up about Germany, Europe in general term. And I look forward to seeing you on the weekend because I'm going to do a special live stream for you. Make sure not to miss it. And I mean it. It's because your time means a lot to me. And I will not waste your time. So I look forward to seeing you on Saturday. And please, if this is your first time on this channel, just hit that like button and subscribe. I will really appreciate it. As always, guys, remember, geopolitics impacts your daily life in more ways than one. Till next time, guys. Bye-bye.